Today's video, I am going to be planting almost our whole entire garden. Our garden is going to supply a lot of our food for the year. Not all of it, we're not quite there yet, but a lot of it, probably for half of the year. And our garden has more than doubled in size this year. We added 4 new raised beds. Last year we had 3 and this year we have 7, so it's a lot more work for us, but it's going to be worth it with how much more food we are able to now grow. I am starting off in our brand new bed that I showed filling up in my last video, and my carrots are going to go in here. I have grown carrots the first year I ever gardened, like 5 years ago, I think, and it was a total fail. I don't think any of them germinated. So I guess I technically haven't grown carrots. So this is kind of my first time growing them, and I am just excited to see how these do. I am growing the Danver 126 variety is what they're called. They're formerly known as Danver half longs. So they're kind of like a shorter carrot, but they are nice and big around and are good for storage, which is what I wanted. I've heard carrots love that nice loose soil, which is why I chose to put them in a raised bed. And then also right after planting them, I'm watering them and then putting boards over top just until they germinate. I believe this just helps keeps the moisture in and it keeps them from drying out, and just overall helps with that germination rate, because carrots are a low germination rate as it is. I got this tip from More Than Farmers here on YouTube, and we'll see how it works. We actually start a lot of our plants from seed, not like inside under grow lights, but actually just directly sown into the garden. So when we went to the garden center to get our plants for the garden, we basically only are getting peppers, tomatoes, marigolds, and that is literally it. I actually grabbed like a couple herbs. I tried to grow all my herbs from seed this year. A few of them just did not germinate. I'm finding that some of them are pretty tricky to germinate, so I just bought a few of those. But yeah, we just bought our tomatoes and peppers mainly from a garden center, which is nice because it kind of cuts on cost, and seeds are obviously cheaper than buying the plant starts. In my tomato bed, I am planting 6 paste tomato varieties. So these are a staple for me. This is what I'm going to be making all of my sauces with. I make homemade ketchup, tomato sauce. I do diced tomatoes, salsa, just a whole bunch of tomato products. And I love using the Amish paste. And then I also planted 2 Roma tomatoes. Actually, these ones were San Marzano tomatoes, which are lovely tasting for sauce. My daughter loves cherry tomatoes, so we got a cherry tomato plant. I didn't grow those last year because we have grown them in the past and they just go crazy, give us way too many, but I decided to grow some this year. I also love making homemade sun-dried tomatoes with those, and now that we have the freeze dryer, I think that having cherry tomatoes on hand is just going to be nice because I can just throw a bunch in the freeze dryer, and that will be a nice, easy addition to a meal or even like a snack for my daughter. Before I plant my tomatoes, I throw in a handful of the tomato tome, and this just gives them a nice calcium boost. I know some people will throw like dried eggshells in the hole, which I've heard mixed opinions about that working. I've heard that the eggshells have to be broken down in order for the calcium to be available to the plant. I'm not really sure all about that, but I just use the tomato tome, and this bag will last you forever because you're only using a handful of it. And for our other vegetable plants, I use the Biotone starter, and this has also lasted us a long time, and the plants love it. In our pepper bed, we are squeezing a bunch of these in here. My husband loves to grow peppers for some reason. I could take them or leave them. I like them, but I don't like them preserved. And I love them for fresh eating. Yeah, but preserved is definitely iffy for me. But we are growing jalapenos, poblano's, snack peppers, bell peppers, banana peppers, and maybe I'm missing some in there, but you know, just the more popular ones. And if you're wondering why my husband is wearing socks with flip-flops like this, it is because he was severely burned in our barn fire. and so he cannot be exposed to the sun after having surgery on his legs. So that is why he's looking kind of funny like that. I like to throw in some marigolds all around the garden. These deter pests and they're just pretty looking, so I'm planting a bunch of those. I think this kettle panel is what I'm most excited for about in our garden this year. I am putting along here some cucumbers on this side, and the other side will be butternut squash. I'm direct sowing these seeds because that's what they prefer, and I really hope that these do well, and I'm just excited to get into some vertical gardening this year. After planting, we just always make sure to water everything in very well. Even if it was gonna call for rain later tonight, I still would water these in a little bit. Not heavy water, just a little bit to get those plants' roots in nice contact with that soil. Like I said, along this other side of the kettle panel, I am sowing some butternut squash seeds. I've never grown butternut squash, so we'll see how these do, but it is one of my favorite kind of squashes. It's so good, and it almost tastes like pumpkin to me, so I'll make like pumpkin pie with butternut squash, or just bake it and eat it almost like a sweet potato. I'm kind of jumping all over the place. That's just how my ADHD brain works. So I'm here in a different bed planting my Snapdragon flowers that I started from seed. I've never grown these, so I don't know like spacing and just how tall they're gonna get, how much space they're gonna take up. I really just have no idea. So I had this little empty spot here next to my onions, and I'm putting those in here. And then I also planted some Swiss chard seeds here in another little empty spot. So there's just a bunch of random mix of things going into this bed. Back over in this bed, my plan for this bed was actually to do sweet potatoes, but we ended up with some extra tomato plants because at the garden center they were like, if you grab one more, it's cheaper. So we of course had to grab one more. So this is where my cherry tomato plant is going. And then also we just got some slicing tomatoes to enjoy for salsa and just for fresh eating. So my plan kind of got derailed here a little bit, and I just put my herbs in this bed too. So there's butternut squash, tomatoes, and my herbs in here. I have basil, rosemary, parsley, thyme. I did calendula, and I also direct sowed some dill seeds and cilantro. Up here in front of our new fence, I am planting some hyssop, which is an herb, and then I'm also going to do some echinacea, also known as purple coneflower, and some zinnias for cutting flowers and making beautiful flower arrangements this summer. Back over in the bed where I planted my carrots, we are doing some green beans right next to them because we only had 2 rows of carrots, so we had some space left in this garden. So we're just doing a row of green beans, and we think this will be plenty for us. And then on the other side, I planted an oregano plant and some more cilantro seeds. I feel like I never grow enough cilantro, so I just am doing a ton of it this year. And then on the other side of the oregano, I planted some chamomile seeds. I know it's kind of random, but I'm just throwing things in where I can. All of the in-ground beds are done and we are moving on to our in-ground bed. Over here, we are doing some corn, squash, and the potatoes are already planted. And then up front, I'm planting dahlias and sunflowers. My husband started making rows for the corn, but we forgot that we needed to put the weed barrier back down. We took it off to till the garden, and then I was like, wait, we're missing the weed barrier. So we put this down, and this was such a pain in the butt to do. We will probably never do this again because it was just so much work, but we got all the corn seeds planted and then got everything watered in, and we called it a night. We were out here pretty much all afternoon getting everything planted, and we prayed that this garden would give us a beautiful harvest. And I'm so excited for the rest of the summer and for all the fresh vegetables and preserving that is ahead of us. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you in my next video.